back to the final episode of Ruh Talks in collaboration with our litfest. Today we have Miss Janaki Sabesh. In 2018, with her first picture book published by Tulika in 9 languages. Her second picture book, Parties Rasam, won the Best Children's Book Award at Jarul 2023. Miss Janaki Sabesh is a versatile professional. She is an accomplished actor, storyteller, trainer, and author. We are lucky to have her here. To start off, how was your experience at today's Litfest?
Thank you, Amara, for having me as part of the Ruh Talks. And I really had such a wonderful time. I was sharing stories with the kindergarten. And at the end of every story, I saw the smiles becoming wider and wider. And at the end of my stories, they actually came and hugged me. That's instant gratification. And what else can a storyteller need, right? When they also participate, when I ask them to sing along with me, when I made them laugh, I made them smile a lot. So, and I think I really had a good time. So, thank you for asking me that.
That's very good, ma'am. Second, do you have any favorite books that you have not written yourself?
Oh, there are many books. I mean, I'd like to talk about some picture books because we are talking about young children. There is this book that's written by a friend of mine called Shobha Vishwanath, and she's, of course, the founder of Karadi Tales. It's called The Little Vinayak. And I have performed that story so many times. I've actually lost count, and I'm going to be performing it for the next session that I have. And she tells me jokingly that Janaki, this book is more yours than mine. So, and then of course, I love performing all of Ashok Rajagopal's storybooks, which is Gajapati, Kulapati. And I really like picture books because I feel picture books are not just for children, it's for adults. It's for adults like me who love the visual medium. So it's a nice balance of text as well as visuals. So these are some of my favorite books.
When you were young, did you have anyone who inspired you to become an author?
Yes. More than author, a storyteller. It was my dad. So my father was a larger than life storyteller. Okay. So if he got up in the morning and went to his office and then came back, uh, we would be made to sit around him in the evening, and he would tell us minute details of how he drove the car, how the traffic was, what happened in office, what did he have for lunch, and what were the conversations he had during tea. So I grew up in a household where everything was explained to me, communicated so beautifully. And to complement that, my mother was a beautiful listener. She would always give in. So I think my father and my mother really inspired me to take up storytelling. I mean, at that time, I didn't know I would become a storyteller, but also to answer your question about author. Can I share a little story of how my first storybook came to be?
Sure, that would be lovely.
Okay, so it's I used to do these little, storytelling sessions in a school, and this was way back in 2014. And around that time, a young boy told me, "Next class, next session, I want a story about an ostrich." And I said, okay, it shouldn't be a problem. So I went back, had some couple of books which didn't have any stories on ostrich, and then I went on to Google, and I didn't get any story which matched my kind of telling. So I went back and told this boy that, listen, I don't have a story on an ostrich, but I can share a story about something else, some other animal. And he said, you don't have a story about ostrich, then why don't you write it? And that made me, I mean, I was taken aback, and I said, yeah, That sounds like a pretty cool idea, but you think you're a storyteller and you can write, but writing is completely different than telling. You really have to understand what is the balance between text and visuals, how do they merge together, how does every page of a book come alive, especially in a picture book. So I attended a couple of workshops and then submitted the manuscript to Tulika, and bang, 2018 they accepted my manuscript and I became an author. So that's how the entire journey of being an author came to be.
What an interesting story, ma'am. When you are stressed out about writing books, what do you do?
Amara, the the I think the beauty in life is to just sit still and observe people around you. There are so many stories happening right now as we speak. We know there are stories happening in every classroom in Ruh, right? Somebody is crying, somebody says, I'm going to go on a holiday, somebody is looking forward for a holiday, somebody is saying, I'm stressed out, I'm not going to be doing some homework. There's so many stories, and I just like to sit and observe, because when you are still, I think when you pause, I think lot of calmness, lot of mindfulness comes, and you can write many stories. I think we don't listen enough, especially I'm talking about me. I don't think I listen enough to myself. Some days I sometimes feel I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to listen to anything but just me. Just without any agenda, just stare at the window. Maybe some thoughts will come by. Just being bored sometimes, I think, helps.
What is an ideal book in your opinion?
Again, I'll focus on picture book. An ideal book is, I think, a book where you read and you shut the book and the story remains with you. It has to make you say, oh, one of those aww moments, and maybe go back to the picture book. And something so beautiful about a picture book is every time you open a picture book, you'll find something new. It's like, oh, but wasn't this line, why didn't I focus on this line before? Why, what was I even thinking when I was reading this line? So every time I might be performing, so you see, as a storyteller, I perform a lot of books. And what do I do? Just before my telling, when I prepare for my telling, I look at the picture book again and again. I might have performed that book multiple times, but each time I look at the book and I get a new idea. So I think a picture book really needs to just make you stay with the story for a long time and make you want to go back to that book.
When you were younger, did you dream of being an author?
No, Amara, I don't think. I dreamt of being a singer. I dreamt of being on stage because my father taught me a poem. I think when I was in class one, and I was very nervous and I had to go on stage. And he taught me the poem of Sarojini Naidu called The Bangle Sellers. And when I went on stage, I felt so happy seeing everybody. I was very nervous, but my father had told me it's okay to go on stage and it's okay not to be perfect, but you need to experience. Every stage performance will help you understand and appreciate who you are and who you become. So every performance of mine, I still treat it as, as something new, and I never take it for granted. So I never dreamt of being a storyteller or an author, but I think I started liking to, be a performer, go on stage.
Would there be an ideal fantasy story that you would like to write?
Yes, I am actually. I love this concept of dreams. So currently, I'm working on something which find dreams as a fascinating subject. My father used to share his dreams every day in the morning with us, and he would try and read up books which kind of sometimes decode a dream, and we would as children be very very fascinated. And now with my daughter, I get very fascinated. We discuss each other's dreams, and it's a very beautiful space to be in. So I think fantasy is something I'd love to work on.
Knowledge not shared remains unknown. How long do you usually take to write a book?
So my first book took a long time. It took almost a year because you have an idea and you write a lot. So you keep writing. So I wrote and wrote and wrote, and then picture book you have to edit it. So finally I went, as I told you earlier, I went into a workshop, and they taught me the nuances of a picture book. So my first book took almost about 8 to 9 months to even make it as a manuscript, and send it to the publisher. My second book, which is Party's Rasam, we were two of us, my daughter Dhwani Sabesh and me, both working, and it was during the time of COVID, so we were both at home together. So of course we fought a lot. we had uh, we had differences of opinion, but the core was that she loved the story. The story outline was mine, and then we discussed it, and then I think that took about 7 8 months again to tell the publisher that our manuscript was ready.
Which book that you wrote are you most proud of, and why?
I think Pati's Rasam is very, very close to my heart. Jungle Storytelling Festival, which is my first book, again, is very close because that was my first book. But Pati's Rasam is closer to me because we collaborated. My daughter and I collaborated. And it is partly inspired by my mother and my daughter's party, which is why it's called Party's Rasam, and it's a story about gentleness. It's about memories. It's about keeping in touch with your core, and how do children also um, you know behave, or how do children process the death of a loved one. So I think it's something very very close to heart. Both these books are very close, but yeah, Party's Rasam because it's like I just told you.
What was it like growing up? Did you enjoy reading books?
Oh, yes, my father was in the publishing industry. So he used to take me. I grew up in two cities, Kolkata, Calcutta, and Delhi. So both cities, my father used to take me to different kinds of bookshops and um, offices of his friends, where I would be just given a few books and I would be made to sit in a chair. And I used to really love reading those books. So I think my father made sure that I grew up with a lot of books.
Why did you decide to be an author?
So, I told you the story, right, of the little boy asking me, after you become the author and you have 9 languages of one book, and you start feeling, I think the best answer would be that when you have an idea that is waiting to come out, that is waiting to be told, and I feel that lot many people need to read that idea, or that concept, or the story, or I think that's when it pushes me to be an author.
Do you and your daughter enjoy making books together?
Yes, we do. We don't do it often, but we really love working with each other because there are fights and there are arguments and there are points of view. So it's really I think it's fun collaborating.
Thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you, Amara. It was so lovely. And I want to ask you a question. Did you enjoy this conversation with me?
Yes, very much. It is interesting to hear about how you made your books and how everything is enjoyed with you and your daughter.
Thank you so much, Amara. I think this conversation is very special for me, and thank you for making me a part of Ruh Talks. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with